everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to use some basic props in your yoga practice. I've got with me 2 blocks and a yoga bolster. We're going to go through a few poses that you'll be extra supported using these props. So to start with, blocks bring the ground closer. So anytime your fingertips or your elbows or your knees are having a hard time really connecting with your mat, grab a block or two and see if that can help keep you lifted and more engaged. So the first pose we're going to walk through that blocks can be helpful in is a low lunge. And we do this pose so often during power yoga classes. Try it with blocks underneath each palm. Use the pressure of the blocks against your palms to press your chest a little more lifted, which allows your back leg to be straight and your outer hips to hug in, which keeps your whole body engaged. And one thing to note when you're using blocks like this underneath palms is they're not meant to hold up your weight. So my weight is not resting in the blocks. It's very little pressure here, meant to just help me keep my spine lifted and strong. And a similar pose to low lunge that blocks can be useful is 2 straight legs. When you begin to straighten your front leg, most of us can't reach the ground here. It's a very intense stretch through the back of your front leg. So grab a few blocks under your palms. Use them to help engage your right hip up and back, your left hip down and forward. That way your legs are straight, but your spine doesn't have to worry so much about staying upright, and your blocks can help keep you lifted. Another posture similar to this is standing splits. So for this one, your blocks are in front of your feet. That's where your hands will be touching the ground. You can start from a forward fold or from a low lunge. Lift your back leg. So if touching the ground doesn't feel super comfortable, or if the stretch is too much in the back of your front leg, use the blocks to keep your spine long and to rest just your fingertips against your block. Shiva squats here, another great option. And then the last posture that I think blocks are super helpful for in a basic yoga practice is, actually I've got 2 more, triangle pose. So we come into this from a warrior 2 oftentimes. Straighten your front leg, bump your hips back. Grab this block, place it just behind your front heel. Rest your palm down and use that to open your chest. So without the block, sometimes it feels like we're crunching down, trying to reach that mat. And you want your lower side body to be just as lifted as engaged as your top. And the block gives you some height to help you do that. And the last one with a block is seated forward fold. So again, if you've got tight hamstrings, tight hips, or just lower back uncomfortableness in this posture, a block is going to lift your hips and tilt your pelvis slightly forward for you so that you can take your seated forward fold with a little extra length and room for your spine to lean forward. So blocks are awesome and helpful, and you can use them during your entire yoga practice, underneath palms, knees, hips, whatever. Helps the ground be a little closer for you. A bolster as well can be super useful. So I've got a giant bolster from Avocado Mattress, Brentwood Home. Most bolsters are not this big. Some of them are rounder in shape. Some of them are smaller and longer. You can even use a rolled up towel, a rolled up yoga mat I've seen people use. Anything that helps support the spaces your body makes. And what I mean by that is, for example, in child's pose, there's space between my chest, my belly, and the mat. And bolsters can help that space be supported, which just feels a little different and makes the posture a little bit different in how it engages your body. So for child's pose, for example, you want to bring one ear to the mat at a time. And here my chest, my belly, all of that is resting on the bolster versus resting in space. So it becomes a more restful posture for that pose. Next one is runner's lunge, which we get into from a downward facing dog. Lift your right leg, place it outside your palm, and right away my back knee is resting on the bolster. So instead of staying lifted, it's resting on something, which lets me lengthen the underside of my front leg. Also, for a lot of us with knee issues, knee pain, when your knee is directly on the mat, a bolster underneath is a great option. runner's lunge is awesome because you can also use your blocks here, which helps you get a little more intensity through the stretch of your extended leg and keeps your spine lifted and long. One similar to runner's lunge is half pigeon. So for half pigeon, most of us have space underneath your front leg, your front hip, and the mat. So this space here, if it feels like there's a lot of room, grab your bolster, slide it underneath so your pelvic bowl, your booty, your hips are resting on that bolster, which takes some of the pressure off of your legs and helps it again become a little more relaxing. So sleeping pigeon, folding forward, I can hug my hips in towards the block to keep my legs working and engaged. Also, you can grab a block underneath your forehead. So lots of ways to use the bolster as well. And towards the end of class, when we're doing supine twists and shavasana, bolster is going to be your best friend. So supine twists, knee probably doesn't touch the ground all the time. And there's a tendency to want to press your top knee towards the earth, which takes the twist a lot of times farther than our bodies want to go. So grab that bolster, place it underneath your bent leg, which allows your torso to relax into this posture and take some of the competitiveness out of your knee. And last but not least, shavasana. You can place your bolster, your towel, your mat underneath your knees, which allows them to bend slightly and eases some of the work that your lower back has to do. And then enjoy shavasana. So lots of postures can be modified with props. Give it a try. You can start with a rolled up towel before you decide if you want to invest in a bolster. Blocks, you can also sub with strong water bottles, not plastic ones, but ones that are metal, or stainless steel. Those can be substituted as blocks as well. So give it a try, see how it changes your practice. Hopefully it makes you feel a little more supported in yoga.